Thank you very much. It's nice to be here today. We'll do a little kirtan. So I'm very honored and very happy to be here with all of you wonderful souls here today. We're making that journey from fear to love. Fear is no fun, and love is unlimitedly ecstatic. I remember as a young child growing up in the Christian church, I heard one verse from the Bible, "Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord." I'm going to get you. I'm going to punish you. I remember being taught about how to be very afraid of God. You see. You better do the right thing or God's going to zap you with a thunderbolt for your sins. You see. But the wonderful thing about Vaishnava culture, Krishna consciousness, is we have a very personal conception. As a Christian boy, I didn't really know even what God looked like. I had some vision of some old man about 20 feet tall with a huge beard, some aged, old, very tall man, is he? But to actually find out what God looks like, what he likes to eat, what he likes to wear, what his intimate associates call him, what he does, this is a whole new world. This is the beauty of Vaishnava culture, Krishna Bhakti, Bhagavad Gita. Another conception is the idea of merging into God. God is the oneness. But that doesn't really free one from anxiety. It's all one. So the beautiful thing about Krishna consciousness is you actually learn how to have loving feelings for that person. If you get back to the basic understanding of who you are, this can really help a lot. You could start off with a question, why do we exist? Do I exist because my mother and father wanted to have a baby? Is that why I exist? Why do I actually exist? This is the fundamental question of philosophy, actually. Why do I exist? If you understand why you exist in the proper way, then from there you can achieve unlimited bliss. You see, if you don't really know why you exist, you're just running around Melbourne trying to earn a living, trying to gratify your senses. It doesn't make any sense. You may go on for a while deluding yourself that you're happy, but actually you'll never be happy. And when death comes, you won't know what the heck is going on, and you leave your body in a state of total anxiety. That's what's happening with the whole human civilization. They don't know who they are. They don't know why they exist. They don't know why they're living. They have no reason, they have no way of understanding anything about this stuff. Then they go on thinking they're happy, on their bicycle or whatever, or their motorcycle. But there's nothing there. It's just an illusory type of happiness that never really satisfies the soul. But if you actually understand that you exist, as Krishna says, "Aham sarvasya prabhavo mataksaram pravartate." I am the source of all material and spiritual worlds. Everything emanates from me. Wow. I emanate from Krishna. I'm an emanation of Krishna. Why is he emanating me? Another question is, when did he start emanating me? When did I come into being? The answer is, there was no time we ever came into being. Krishna is eternally emanating us from himself. For what purpose? Krishna likes loving relationships. Aha! We exist to satisfy Krishna's desire to have loving relationships. You see? Well, how many loving relationships would Krishna like? Well, actually, Krishna has an unlimited desire for loving relationships. Therefore, he is emanating an unlimited number of living entities from himself for the purpose of having an unlimited variety of loving relationships. You may say, why does he need so many? Isn't Radharani enough? Well, here's an example. I say, we're having a wonderful feast. It's the Janmashtami feast. a wonderful feast. Everyone come to the Janmashtami feast, and you sit down, and they bring the sabji, and you're wondering, well, where's the puris, where's the pakoras, where's the chutney, where's the other sabjis, where's the sweet rice? Oh, this is the feast. It's the sabji, and that's the feast. You go, feast? One preparation is the feast? You see? A feast means many varieties of preps, doesn't it? Variety is the mother of enjoyment, it is sometimes said. So Krishna is a feast. He is a love feaster. He feasts on many. In other words, the more you have loving relationships, the more festive it becomes. So Krishna enjoys unlimitedly by having an unlimited number of varieties of loving relationships. They say, well, I just one of an infinite number of living entities. I mean, how much attention could I get from Krishna anyway, And have to wait for, millions of years to get one moment with Krishna. But you know what? Just think about Krishna in Dwarka. How many queens did he have? 16,108. So every night he would stay with the queen. Did every queen have to wait for 16,108 nights for Krishna to come to her palace? No. Krishna manifested 16,108 Krishnas, so each queen got Krishna all to herself every night. So in the same way that Krishna reciprocates with every queen and every gopi girl also in the Rasa Lila, same principle. Krishna manifests himself fully and totally for each and every one of his devotees. In other words, when you give yourself fully to Krishna, Krishna belongs completely, totally to you. So Krishna then manifests an infinite number of manifestations of himself, so each and every one of his infinite devotees can have a total, complete relationship with him. Reciprocate with him in all varieties of intimate, loving relationships for all of eternity. So we exist for the purpose of giving Krishna a specific type of loving relationship. You say, well, wouldn't it be generic? Everybody's basically just the same, But no, just like in a feast, every prep is different, right? So each and every Jiva's soul has a specific nature or personality that gives Krishna a type of loving relationship that nobody else can give him. That's why when you fall into the material world, Krishna is missing you, because he can't get that kind of relationship with you with anybody else. You offer him a specific type of personality that nobody else has. So when you fall in the material world, Krishna is missing you like anything. That's why he comes. Yada yada hi dharmasha glanir bhavati bharata. He comes to try to get you back. You're his beloved child. He wants you specifically, not just some generic thing. Specifically, he wants you back in his kingdom, you see. So when you consider that we exist simply to give Krishna a specific type of loving relationship that nobody else can give him, and then you actually you take up the pathway of reviving that loving relationship with Krishna, it becomes unlimitedly exciting, actually. Unlimitedly exciting. Of course, there's two levels there's sadhana bhakti and raganuga bhakti. As neophyte devotees, we're on the platform of following rules and regulations. Do this, don't do that. Eat prasadam only, don't have meat, fish, or eggs. Chant 16 rounds at least every day of japamala. Don't have illicit sex. Don't smoke. Don't take LSD or marijuana. We have all these rules and regulations. In the beginning, you see, we're addicted to different types of sense gratification. So it's like we have to forcibly remove ourselves from these things. I like to sleep late, but as a devotee, I learned to get up early, you see, all these things. So in the beginning, we follow according to rules and regulations. But the beauty of this process is, as you start to develop feelings of love for that person, Krishna, how beautiful he is, how powerful, how renounced, how wealthy, how famous, how wise, how absolutely unbelievably amazing is that person. He's so sweet. His association is so unlimitedly relishable that as you begin to get these understandings and these feelings, then it's no longer following rules and regulations. It becomes spontaneous, you see. That's an advanced stage. Spontaneous stage, where you're just spontaneously loving Krishna with your every thought, word, and deed in all times, places, and circumstances. Our level is not there yet. We're in the level of sadhana bhakti. Do this, don't do that. That's it. But if you actually have faith in this process, you have faith in Krishna, that he's my ever well-wishing friend, he lives eternally in the spiritual world, I'm his devotee, but I've forgotten about it. I actually have an intimate, loving relationship with him in any one of 5 primary rasas. As a gopi, as a gopa, as a cow, a calf, as a parent, as a friend, as a servant, or a neutrality like his flute. In the spiritual world, everything is a person. Even the flute is a devotee, you see. Actually, the bamboos were feeling great ecstasy because one of their family members was Krishna's flute. They were in total ecstasy. Now, if you ask the flute, would you like to be a gopi? Because he said, no, I get Krishna's lips more than the gopis get. I'd rather stay as the flute. You see? Everybody feels that their particular rasa with Krishna is the best. And the cows feel it's better to be a cow than a gopi. The gopis feel it's better to be a gopi than a cow. In the spiritual world, there's unlimited varieties of relationships, and everybody feels that theirs is the best. That's why they're there. So it's not that I wanted to be a gopi, but I have to be a gopa. No. Everybody is unlimitedly satisfied. Prabhupada even says if they want to switch rasas, they can, but generally they don't, you see. Everybody's totally satisfied. Somebody gets to be Krishna's dhoti even. Wow. Just imagine being Krishna's dhoti. Everything is a person in the spirit. Even the rock that Krishna takes his lunch on is a person, a devotee, you see. So there's all these varieties of loving relationships. And when we develop pure love for Krishna within our hearts, we actually come to a stage where we actually remember who we are in his pastimes. Don't try to jump to that artificially. Thinking, oh yeah, I'm sure I'm a gopi, I must be a... No, don't try to jump artificially. That's called sahajaism, one who takes the process cheaply. But just take a natural process of awakening. Let me develop attraction for Krishna's name. That's where it begins. You say, well, that's just the name. I want to associate with Krishna. But no, Krishna is absolute. Krishna and Krishna's name are one and the same. When you say Krishna as a devotee, you're actually associating with Krishna. In other words, within these 2 syllables, Krishna, the person Krishna is fully there. All of Krishna's associates are there, the gopis, the gopas, the cows, the calves, the peacocks, Govardhan, Jamuna, it's all there within the syllables Krishna. So this is mystical. If you learn to meditate on the Hare Krishna mantra, you will actually enter into the spiritual world. Even in your present body, you can be situated in the spiritual world. So if one actually learns how to develop this attraction for Krishna, you see, somehow or other, just give your love to Krishna. You see. I remember I was... my history of coming to ISKCON is kind of interesting. A friend of mine, actually I had a hippie friend named Patrick Dolan. He had been in San Francisco in the famous summer of '67 when all the hippies developed a whole idea, had a whole big love and peace scene in Haight-Ashbury, and the devotees were there in the middle of it, engaging everybody in chanting Hare Krishna. It became like the anthem of the hippies. So he taught me this mantra, Hare Krishna mantra. I hadn't met the devotees yet. So I was thinking, I'd been inspired by Lord Buddha to become spiritually enlightened. And I was trying to figure out how to become enlightened. And after I was turned on to this mantra, I was so inspired by this mantra, I decided to renounce the world and just go to India and be one of those beggars, a holy beggar in India. That was my career path. Some people wanted to be doctors, engineers. My career path would be a holy beggar in India. That was my career choice. I was, philosophically, I was on the path of what's called neti neti, deny, deny, deny. The material world is false, sense gratification is false, money is false, everything is false. Deny, 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 and just renounce the world. It's a path, it's a philosophical path that they follow. Some people in India accept neti neti path. So, but one night I came to a realization that I'm denying, I must deny, 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 deny everything, but finally there's only one thing left to deny, and that's denial itself. So I denied denial, and then instead of going to India, I thought I would go to San Francisco. I felt there was some spiritual souls that are calling me to assist them in a world deliverance mission. I didn't realize it was the devotees, actually. But I went there, and I met the devotees. First thing I saw was the Harinam party. They invited me to the temple. I went there, but I was still polluted by Mayavadi philosophy. I was still thinking that, I'm God, you're God, we're all God. So I wasn't ready to surrender. But I liked the devotees. I would go out with the Harinam party, and they would give me the mic and let me lead the party. I liked it, but I didn't want to join. Because at that time, the way the devotees taught me was, you have to follow the rules and regulations. It was like the military, yes, sir. It was that kind of a mood. And it wasn't quite my cup of tea. I didn't want to join the army, actually. I was a draft dodger. They called me to fight in Vietnam, but I found a way to get out of it. So I wasn't ready to join the military, and the way they presented Krishna consciousness was like the military, But then later on, I was in Austin, and I met Vishnu John Swami. He was a whole different type of preacher. It wasn't like, you gotta follow the rules and regulations, you're in Maya. It wasn't like that. It was like, his preaching was, just give your love to Krishna. Instead of loving a dog or a cat, why not love Krishna who made all of that? It was like that. And it was so wonderful. He would sing with such love, and he was so charming and beautiful person. Wow, it was amazing. We would take, during lunch prasadam, he would tell stories from Krishna book. He would tell us all this Krishna Leela. He was describing Krishna, and it was so attractive. He would talk about Krishna did this, and Krishna is that. It was so wonderful. Even I remember one little girl, and he would tell us about Prabhupada also. Prabhupada is so wonderful, and it was just amazing. I remember there was one program we had, and there was some little girl who had been coming to our programs, and she'd heard about Prabhupada. I remember she just started in ecstasy. This little girl was going, Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. In ecstasy, the little girl was calling out the name of Prabhupada. So this is the kind of training that attracted me to join this movement, you see. When you learn how to love this great spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, you learn how to love Krishna, you see. That's what convinced me to join. I didn't want to join the military, you see. But a love organization where you love Krishna and Krishna loves you, and you love Prabhupada and Prabhupada loves you, and it was wonderful. And Prabhupada did love it. It was unbelievably how much Prabhupada loved us. He was so wonderful. He was so charming. Prabhupada was so sweet. You see, that's how we understood Krishna's love. Krishna's love came to us through Prabhupada. I remember my godbrother, Nandakishore Prabhu. One time he asked Prabhupada at the end of a lecture, because we have these Simply Wonderful sweets, you know. He said, Srila Prabhupada, what happens when we give somebody a Simply Wonderful on the street? Prabhupada said, he will eat that wonderful sweet, and he will come to your temple, and he will become simply wonderful. He said, Krishna is simply wonderful, this process of Krishna consciousness is simply wonderful, and you all are simply wonderful. And then one devotee said, Prabhupada is simply wonderful. And Prabhupada said, that's all right, have kirtan. So this was the atmosphere that attracted me to this movement. It was an amazing atmosphere. Prabhupada was just pouring out mercy. He was like a volcano erupting, spewing mercy all over the universe. Jagat Guru, the spiritual master of the universe. It was an amazing atmosphere. Everybody loved Prabhupada. Prabhupada was so wonderful. He was so merciful. Remember the first time I saw him, about 300 of us went to the airport in San Francisco. He was coming for the Rath-yatra. And we were just chanting, jumping up and down in ecstasy at the jet bridge, waiting for Prabhupada to come off. And all the other passengers came out. They came right through the middle of the kirtan. They were going, wow, what's going on here? They were amazed. They come off the airplane into a huge kirtan of 300 devotees. And then finally Prabhupada came. We all did our dandavats there in the airport. It was just such an amazing atmosphere. Prabhupada was pouring out the mercy, just pouring out the mercy. So this way we learn how to love Krishna, you see. By learning how to love Prabhupada, that's the key. And now that we have Prabhupada's representatives, you see, we learn how to love them. So it's the same principle. So this is how I got introduced to the idea of loving Krishna as love, by the love of Krishna and loving Krishna and Krishna as love and all these things. By the mercy of Prabhupada, you see. So what's the secret then of how we actually awaken this type of loving feeling within the heart? That's why it's emphasized, sadhu sangha, sadhu sangha, sadhu sangha, sarva shastakaya, sarva sadhu sangha, sarva siddhi hoy. By associating with devotees, all the scriptures declare that by association with the devotees, sarva siddhi hoy, you can achieve all perfection. So that's the way to go from fear to love. Learn how to love the devotees, you see. Learn how to love the spiritual masters. Learn how to love Prabhupada by developing loving feelings, loving relationships. That's how your love of Krishna will manifest. Now I remember when I joined, the devotees were kind of immature. And one devotee said, you can only love Krishna, it's Maya to love devotees. And I was thinking, what? He was actually a temple president. I was thinking, how could that be right? But I was a young devotee, I couldn't say anything. It's Maya to love devotee, you can only love Krishna. Well, but then later on, when this book came out, Upadeshamrita, the Nectar of Instruction, and I was so happy, I knew I was right. Rupa Goswami talks about the 6 loving exchanges between devotees, you see. So that's the key. Learn how to have loving relationship with Vaishnavas. That's how your love for Krishna will awaken. Because you can't go beyond that. Krishna will only allow you that loving relationship to the degree you have loving relationships with devotees. That's why we say, Vanchakopatarubhyascha kripasindubhya evacha patitanang pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. We offer our respectful obeisances to the Vaishnavas. We bow down at their feet, you see. So this is the key. The more you can love the devotee of Krishna, the more your love for Krishna will awaken. Then of course, the more we hear about the other side also. When you're cultivating a relationship with devotees, but you're also hearing about Krishna, the pastimes of Krishna, the amazing leelas, the beautiful form of Krishna. Krishna so mercifully appears in the form of the deity, by serving the deity and bringing offerings to the deity. See, all these things, they add up. A little here, a little there, a little here, a little there. The key is you just have to keep bringing your mind back to Krishna. Always thinking, how can I please him? Just like now I'm giving a lecture about loving Krishna, you see. So I have to think, what would Krishna like me to say? You see? How can I give a talk about Krishna in such a way that Krishna will derive unlimited pleasure from my talk? Because Krishna hears everything. He's Sarvagya, he knows everything. He knows everything that we're thinking, everything we're saying, and everything that we're doing. We're always being monitored by Krishna at every minute. So we should understand that Krishna is present with me at every minute. He's fully conscious of my thoughts, my words, and my deeds. So I have to learn to bring them back. Yato yato nischalati manas chanchalamascharam tatas tato nayam yatad atmanya vibhashamya. From wherever the mind wanders, due to its flickering and unsteady nature, one must certainly bring it back under the control of the self. So if you're aware of the fact that Krishna is aware of you at every minute, and you try to discipline your thoughts, words, and deeds for his pleasure, then the magic begins to happen. And this process really works. I've been doing it for almost a half a century. And I can see a huge difference in my consciousness from when I joined in 71, you see. It's a humongous difference. This process works. It really does, you see. It really does. Even though my body is 71 years old, I still feel like a youth. I don't feel like a 71-year-old man on the verge of death. Of course, I might be, but you never know. But I feel that same enthusiasm I did when I was a 22-year-old brahmachari joining the ashram. I do. I feel that same, save the world, kind of enthusiasm, you see. So this process really, really is magical, it's powerful, it's potent. If you embrace this process, I must give my love to Krishna, you see. I must give my love to Krishna. I must learn to love this beautiful personality who's so adorable. You see, he's the cynosure of all eyes, and in his transcendental abode, everyone is captivated by him. He's the supreme superstar. Just like here, everybody was captivated with the Beatles, running wild after the Beatles. But that Beatlemania is nothing compared to Krishna mania in Goloka. You see, everybody, oh, Krishna. Krishna, Krishna. What is Krishna doing? What is he thinking? What is he saying? Everybody is totally mad after Krishna, you see. Spiritual world, everybody is, even the animals are going mad after Krishna. Take a Beatle album, go down to the zoo and play it for the animals. The animals could care less about the Beatle music, you see. But in the spiritual world, everyone is mad after Krishna. Everyone, the birds, the bees, the insects, everyone is in total ecstasy. Krishna, 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 you see. So we have that, since we are actually emanations from Krishna, being emanated from him for the purpose of having that loving relationship with him. And since we originally were situated in that position, and that is our natural position, just like a fish belongs in the water, not on the dry land. Right now we're like fish out of the water, you see. This material water is an artificial atmosphere. This is not our place. That's why we have great difficulty here being happy. But when you connect with Krishna, now you're reconnecting with your actual nature. So that's why if you take up this chanting process, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, you will have a transformation of your consciousness. It's a healing process. Right now we have the disease called material attraction. But the medicine that cures us from this disease is the Hare Krishna mantra. So therefore we emphasize this chanting process. And last night we went out on the downtown Melbourne with the Hare Nam party. It was amazing. We were chanting with great enthusiasm, and so many non-devotees were just going mad. They're in total ecstasy over the chanting, over the holy names. They would chant with us, you see. So this chanting liberates. And the more we can chant, and the more we can spread this chanting, the more we will become enchanted by Krishna. And the more that we are enchanted by Krishna, the more we'll be empowered to attract others to Krishna. Actually, the potential is there of a complete, total, global spiritual revolution. So we want a revolution within and a revolution without. Spiritual revolution within, spiritual revolution without. That is our business here in ISKCON, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Our prime duty is to awaken Krishna consciousness within our own hearts. But along with that, we have the duty of sharing Krishna with the suffering souls of this world so that they can also taste the nectar of Krishna consciousness. There's no reason to suffer in this material world. Suffering is the pastime of fools. So don't be a fool who continues to misidentify with the material body. You're not a woman, you're not an Indian, you're not an Aussie. You see? You're actually an eternal spiritual being, qualitatively one with the Supreme Lord. You're one of His intimate, personal associates from the spiritual world. Now get back to being who you are. That's all. Get back to being who you really are. One of Krishna's eternal associates. By this process of sadhana bhakti, under the guidance of the bona fide spiritual master, this process will totally, absolutely transform your existence. It will turn you into an absolutely, totally blissful person who is full with spiritual knowledge and full of compassion for all the suffering souls of this world who have not been so fortunate to have their Krishna consciousness yet awakened. Any questions?
Thank you, Gurudev, for a wonderful lecture. My question is, when our mind is attracted to the external sense objects, what we should do and how we can actually protect our Krishna consciousness?
From being attracted to material sense objects?
Yes.
Yes. These material sense objects, they're all Krishna's property. If you engage everything, and the fact is we're attracted to so many things in this material world, that's why we're here, you see. If you see them all as the property of Krishna, and Krishna says in Gita, Sarva Loka Maheshvaram, Bhoktaram Jagatapasam Sarva Loka Maheshvaram. Everything belongs to me, and therefore everything is for my enjoyment. If you take everything that you're wanting to enjoy, and you're engaging in this service of Krishna, then you become satisfied because you're satisfying Krishna. In other words, we want to enjoy, that's our nature. There's nothing wrong with wanting to enjoy. You're an enjoyer by nature because Krishna is the supreme enjoyer and you're qualitatively one with Krishna. So by nature, you're also an enjoyer, you see. But just like, for example, in your body, the hand needs nourishment, doesn't it, to survive. But when you take the food, should you just squeeze it in the fingers and try to get the nourishment in that way? You will not be successful. But when the hand gives the food to the belly, then it gets the nourishment. So the hand is dealing with the sense object, but it's offering it to the belly, and then it gets the satisfaction. So the Maya bodies deny the sense objects. It's false. It's false. Neti, 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 neti. That may be some advancement of not trying to enjoy them, but ultimately it doesn't satisfy the self. But if you will take the sense objects that attract you and engage them in Krishna's service, then Krishna will be satisfied and you will have unlimited satisfaction. So instead of trying to enjoy the world Engage the world in Krishna's service, and then Krishna will enjoy, and you will also enjoy unlimitedly. So that's the secret of success, how to enjoy. Instead of trying to enjoy separately, you try to engage everything enjoyable in the service of Krishna, and then Krishna will be satisfied, and you will have unlimited happiness and satisfaction. This simple formula can bring total peace in the world, as Krishna confirms in the Bhagavad Gita. Bhoktaram jagatapasam sarvaloka maheshvaram suhridam sarvaduttanam gatva shantam richtati. One who knows me as the supreme owner, supreme enjoyer, and the best friend of all living entities, that person experiences unlimited peace. And if this peace formula can be taught to the global society, we'll have perfect peace and happiness in all countries and all places on this planet. This is our mission. We want to make world peace by introducing this formula of who is the actual enjoyer and training everyone how, whether you're a Christian, a Muslim, a Jew, a Sikh, or a Jain, or whatever you may be, you see. Everything is the property of God, and everything should be utilized in His service. You see, this is the universal religion. We are not Hindus. Do I look like a Hindu? I'm from Texas. This is not Hindu religion. This is Vaishnava culture. Lord Jesus was a Vaishnava. Prabhupada said Hazrat Muhammad also a Vaishnava. This devotion to the Supreme Being, whether you call Him Allah, Krishna, or Jehovah, it is one thing. So we are introducing here the world religion, that everyone can follow these principles. We can teach a Christian how to do it, a Muslim, a Sikh, a Jain. Everyone can be taught how to practice the science of God in such a way that God becomes happy and the whole world becomes peaceful. Next question. Anyone else?
Thank you, Maharaj. We are very fortunate you are here again. 2 times a year. It still feels very short. Maharaj, my question is, how do we go from distress to really loving Krishna? Like calling out Krishna in distress, if you're in distress all the time.
How do you go from distress?
Yeah, distress, like how we calling out Krishna in distress, but we are really not loving Krishna. So how do we actually love Krishna?
Actually, distress is not bad. Kunti Devi was praying for distress. She was saying, give me more distress. Vipadashantatashastatatta jagadgada bhavadam darshanam archad apana bhavadarshanam. May those difficulties, Kunti's praying, may those difficulties come again and again, because when those difficulties come, then I am seeing you. And when I'm seeing you, I'm no longer seeing the repetition of birth and death. So we should not feel that distress is a difficulty. We should feel that distress is the greatest blessing. When you actually embrace distress as the mercy of Krishna, it's no longer distress. It's the mercy of Krishna. So I understand your question. When we're in difficulty, we ask God to help us. But when the difficulty is over, we forget about God. That is a difficulty. You see, God help me, God help me, God help me. There's that example of some a businessman in San Francisco. San Francisco is famous for earthquakes. Walking down the street with his attaché case and his wingtip shoes, polished businessman, and all of a sudden there was an earthquake. And he had his hand and knees saying, God, please protect me, because of the earthquake. And then the earthquake goes away and he forgets about God. He brushes off his pants and goes on to his job. And they're not caring for God anymore. So your question is a very valid question. How do we go beyond simply calling out for God when we need help to we're actually in the mood of loving God? So I've been just calling to God when I'm in distress, and I'm saying, God, help me. God, serve me. God, help me. You see, I'm asking God to help me. We have to develop the other mood of Krishna, what do you want me to do for you? What can I do for Krishna today? what would he like for his lunch? When you're cooking in your home, you should think, what would Krishna like for his lunch today? What would Krishna like for breakfast? How can I make something nice for Krishna? You see, that's what we have to do. That's the mood. Instead of just thinking of Krishna when we're in distress, we have to think that Krishna wants me to fully surrender to him. What does he want me to do? We should always be in the mood, how can I please Krishna? So how do we develop the attitude? Well, it's very simple. You can beg Krishna, my dear Lord, please bless me, I can always be thinking how to please you. You can even pray like that. My dear Krishna, please bless me, I don't only think of you in distress. Please bless me, I can always think about you. I can always think how to please you, how to serve you and love you with my every thought, word, and deed at all times, places, and circumstances. And we have a special mantra for that. You know that mantra? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I'm begging Krishna, please help me develop those feelings of love for you. I just want to serve you and love you in every situation with unlimited love and devotion. You see? So if you recognize that defect in yourself, that's very good. That I only call for Krishna when I need something from him. You know, I'm short on my rent money this month. Krishna, can you help me pay my rent? You see, no. But no, Krishna, what can I do for you? What can I do for Krishna today? You see. So when this is why this Sankirtan movement is so valuable, because the Sankirtan movement means we don't only think about our own salvation, but we realize that Lord Chaitanya, who is Krishna himself, wants to deliver all the living entities of this material world back to home, back to Godhead. So we take up that mood of assisting Lord Chaitanya in delivering the fallen souls by preaching, distributing these books, by going on Harinam Sankirtan, by sharing Krishna with others, by doing everything we can to help others become Krishna conscious. That will help us develop the right mood, seeing the others in distress and how to relieve them from their distress, you see. When you have that mood, you have no more distress anymore, you see. One who is always thinking, how can I relieve others from their distress? They have no more distress. I remember many years ago in our Dallas temple, our GBC was Tamal Krishna Goswami, our temple president was Dristadumna Swami. And it was a big community, and being the temple president was not easy. We had householders with babies. It was quite a scene because instead of the householders living outside, the temple bought all the houses around the temple. And we had the householders living in the temple property. So everybody was really tight within the temple management. And the temple president had to deal with diapers, and he had to think about everything. Even diapers he had to think about, diaper money for the householders. It was one economy. It was a very unique, they don't do it anymore, but so much. But at that time, he had so much anxiety, so much stress. So I remember Tamal Krishna Goswami said, because he's having to deal with all of your anxieties, he personally has no anxiety. So the more you can think about it, the point is, the more you can think about relieving the distress of others, that is how your love of Krishna will become manifest, because Krishna wants to see that all the suffering souls can be relieved from their horrible entanglement within karma chakra, the cycle of birth and death, and come back to his abode. So if you embrace the anxiety, that Krishna is in transcendental anxiety to see the suffering souls in this material world. So if you can embrace that anxiety of delivering the fallen souls back to home, back to Godhead, that is how your love for Krishna will become manifest. That is Lord Chaitanya's movement. To embrace the anxiety of delivering the fallen souls. That's how your love for Krishna will become manifest very powerfully in this age by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Next question, does that answer your question?
Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay. Another.
Just one more question.
Okay.
When the kids are growing, they are into Krishna consciousness, and then you see suddenly, teenagers age and everything, they don't want to even utilize their talent like music or
What is it?
So how do we engage them at that stage of life?
What is he saying?
So when the kids are grown up, in the teenage time, they have this reluctance to be engaged in Krishna consciousness. So what's the solution to keep them engaged?
The teenagers. Well, you have to be an ideal example. That's the real thing. If you're intensely cultivating pure love of God within your heart at every minute, then your children will be very inspired by them. You have to see your own defects. The kids are in Maya, but maybe you're in Maya too. You see what I'm saying? Acharya means one who inspires by his example. There's a saying, I remember, it's like making fun of parents. There was a saying, do as I say and not as I do. There's a saying, making fun of parents, who, you do what I say but not what I do. So we have to be ideal examples. That's the real key. You have to be a person who's mad after God, who's intensely desiring to awaken love of God within your heart. And because of that intense desire to awaken love of God within your heart, you're actually experiencing transcendental bliss at every minute. If you have that kind of intensity, your kids, you have teenage kids?
Yes.
How many?
One.
Is he here today?
She's not.
She didn't want to come.
No, she goes to the temple, everything, but she's very, very Krishna conscious when she was young. But now, the last 2 years, she's probably teenage, I don't know.
Yeah.
She used to draw beautiful. I still got all the paintings, everything in the room. She drew beautifully. But now I think I've seen some changes. So.
Yeah, the thing is, you have to focus on your own sadhana, your own awakening of love of God within the heart. You have to be very, very intense to awaken Krishna prema within your heart. That will be an inspiration. So she's coming to the temple. That's very good. I know when I came, most of us here. We came after our teenage years. You see. For me, the teenage years were absolutely hell. You see, a very bewildering time with no Krishna consciousness. Teenage, it was just horrible, the most horrible experience. Teenage years. But if one actually understands that Krishna is the supreme teenager, you see. Try to develop. Do you have like regular kirtans in your home? You have kirtan every day in the home?
Yes, Maharaj.
Do you have Mangalarti in the home every day?
Not Mangalarti.
You should have more. You should make your home like a temple, where it's ecstatic place to be, where there's a Mangalarti, there's kirtan, there's readings from the scriptures. You have to turn your home into an ashram, where it's an ecstatic, transcendental atmosphere. That will help. You see, you should have Mangalarti in your home. Advise early in the morning. The early morning hours are very wonderful. Before the sun comes up, have an arati ceremony. It becomes very, very inspiring. So I would see about how to make your home more Krishna conscious, so she's more attracted. You haven't done enough to make your home Krishna conscious. That's the problem. That's what I see.
Thank you.
Sure. Next.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, my question would be, in the material world, we are all governed by the three modes of material nature. But in the spiritual world, what is governing Krishna's actions?
In the material world, everything is governed by the three modes of the material nature. The activities that are enacted in the spiritual world, what principle governs those activities?
Love of Krishna. Everything's done in love. It's all done in a loving relationship out of love for Krishna, to please Him. Everyone does everything to please Krishna, totally. I'm totally wrapped in loving Krishna. There's no other principle. I want to please Krishna. I want to please Krishna. I want to please my Krishna. That's the whole move. Jai. Next.
What if that love governs Krishna? Love governs Krishna.
Love, what is she saying?
She's saying that love governs Krishna.
Love does what?
Love governs Krishna.
The word governs. And Krishna is governed by love. Krishna becomes controlled by the loving feelings of his devotees. That's it.
Because the gopis love him so much they can make him dance.
Krishna dances he dances for the gopis. Next.
How do I get completely rid of fear?
How do I get completely rid of fear?
You have to trust Krishna. You have to understand that Krishna is your ever well-wisher. Krishna loves you more than you can even begin to imagine. He's the supreme controller. Everything happens under his direction. Nothing happens without the sanction of Krishna. And if you just see everything that Krishna is acting at every minute to do everything for you, then there's no more fear. You're the all-powerful person who controls and owns everything, has unlimited love for you, and he's arranging everything perfectly for you at every minute to bring you back to that loving relationship with him as soon as possible. If you have that vision, there's no fear anymore, you see. Even if death comes, that Krishna has a plan for me to leave my body right now. He has another engagement for me. You see, even death is not fearful for a pure devotee. That Krishna wants me to switch to a different room. That's all. You see, different vehicle. You understand? Yes. You have to trust Krishna. It's like in the American currency, in God we trust. We trust God. He's our well-wishing friend and He arranges everything for our benefit. Thank you for your wonderful question. May you be blessed with Krishna Prema. Next.
Thank you, Maharaj. First of all, I'm grateful to you for traveling around the world at such a busy schedule for our benefit. Thank you so much. Now, my question is more towards the young people. There is this phenomenon, we live in what is called as the Instagram generation. We like to take pictures of our food, places we are at, people we are with. So there is this anxiety. The generation that we are a part of, the Instagram generation, we don't live in the present, we live the future as a memory to be relished later on. So we're missing out on the present. And there is this underlying phenomenon which is FOMO, fear of missing out. That if I choose one set of things, or if I take to one path, I will miss out on everything else. So there is this fear. So the solution to that is proposed is to be liberal, unattached, just happy-go-lucky, enjoy what comes. So
let me catch up with what you're asking. I'm not missing it. What is it?
So he's saying at the moment, the modern society is engrossed with, taking pictures, selfies,
pictures, selfies,
putting them on Facebook, Instagram, on other social medias.
Yeah.
And there's also this phenomena of living in the future rather than living in the present.
Yeah.
Because the philosophy that is given, propounded is that live life easy, enjoy for now, don't worry, don't fear. So, what was the question? Because so far, The question is not yet come.
Essentially, this anxiety, this fear that is propagated, to the young people. And if you don't do this, then you're missing out on the real fun in life. You're missing out on success. You're missing out on this and that. And we, as trying to become devotees, we have our own standards. But this anxiety is always propounded upon us. So how do we deal with this angst?
So there is a pressure from the modern society via the social media and other avenues to adopt to their lifestyle rather than living a devotee lifestyle, and the two lifestyles are quite contrary.
If you want to be happy, you got to gratify your senses, basically is what they're saying. Gratify, 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 isn't it? Have sex, take drugs, enjoy, enjoy, enjoy. You see? Yeah, that pressure is there in the material society. See? But if one has any intelligence, he'll see that this is empty. It's empty, there's nothing there. It's a facade. There's no real satisfaction, you see. I'm going here, I'm smoking this, I'm having sex here, I'm doing this, but there's no satisfaction in it. Thing is, it doesn't satisfy the self. Because the self and the body are two different things. This is why it doesn't work. Because they think they're their bodies, that's the problem. When you realize I'm not this body, and gratifying the body doesn't satisfy me at all, actually, you see. Then you can be a little sober and intelligent. They have to be educated that they're not their bodies. That's the bottom line. Prabhupada said, first teach them, first convince them that they're not their bodies. That's how we can rescue these people who have been carried away by sense gratification propaganda. By enlightening them that you're not your body. You're an eternal spiritual being. That's how we can do it. Next. Does that make sense?
The point is, there is enjoyment in this world. When we start.
That's not true at all. That's bogus. Where'd you get that bogus philosophy from?
It's not my own philosophy.
There's no enjoyment here. It's simply an illusion of enjoyment. You see? There's absolutely no enjoyment in this material world. It's only an illusion of enjoyment.
And we see a lot of people, Christmas break now, we see literally thousands of people.
They think they're enjoying, but it's a feverish enjoyment. It's feverish. It's not actual happiness. They're trying to enjoy, and they think they're enjoying, but actually they're not. They're deluding themselves into thinking that they're enjoying. That's a fact. It's illusory. It's called Maya Sukhaya, illusory happiness. It appears to be happiness, but actually it's a suffering condition. They're suffering like anything, but then when they get to come out of their suffering and get out in downtown with their skateboard or whatever, I think they're enjoying now, you see. Actually, they're miserable as hell, but a little bit of when the misery is not as bad, they call it enjoyment, that's all. Their enjoyment is when the misery becomes lessened, that's all. But our enjoyment is completely beyond the realm of misery. We enjoy better than they do. We're actually enjoying, but they're not actually enjoying. They only think they're enjoying. Our enjoyment is millions of times better than their so-called enjoyment. That's a fact.
Thank you so much.
Next.
I have a question.
Yes, Guru Mata.
My point would be,
Wait for the mic.
if they're finding enjoying, they think they're enjoying, then why they do have to keep looking here and there for enjoyment? Why they can be satisfied? They are not satisfied, that's why they are sitting here, that I will do this, then I will enjoy. I will do this, then I will enjoy. Why they are not satisfied if they are enjoying?
Good point. It's like divorce. I married this girl, the girl of my dreams, but a year later, she's horrible, divorce her, you know. Next.
Person who is in real enjoyment doesn't look for anything. He will be happy in all circumstances.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Maharaj, my question is, it's very natural for all of us to love our parents and all our relatives. So how do we kind of cultivate that same type of love for Krishna?
Yes. Actually, parents are natural objects of affection. One should think how, I know in my case, my parents were not even devotees. My mother was against Krishna consciousness. She would bring a Bible to the temple, convinced I need to come back to Jesus. She didn't understand the philosophy. But still, I very much, my mood is praying to Krishna for my mother's benefit, because actually she helped me in many ways to help me become ready to join this movement by encouraging me to become a moral person, which she did very convincingly. That helped me to join this movement. So personally, I feel very indebted to my parents, and I have strong feelings of affection for them. The way to dovetail is to connect it with Krishna. That's all. One doesn't deny these loving feelings, but you connect it with Krishna. Your parents are devotees also? This is your mother here? Very good. So you should think, you should think how to please your mother, and because Krishna wants you, what is that verse? There's a verse in the Bible in the Big Gita about the parents. Some verse. One should, superiors like the mother and father. What is that verse?
Austerity of the body.
Austerity of the body is to offer obeisance to the parents. So Krishna wants you to have that feeling of love for your parents. You should do it for Krishna's pleasure. Krishna wants me to love my parents, so by doing that, by loving my parents, that's part of my loving Krishna, because Krishna wants me to love my parents.
It depends. Parents are devotees, then you can love.
And if they're not devotees, then you can pray they become devotees. That's also loving them. In my case, I prayed for their deliverance. Even though they weren't devotees, I pray for their deliverance. And we had the good opportunity. My father was passing away. We got the word. We went and did a kirtan as he left his body. My wife and I had a kirtan as he was leaving his body. It was very auspicious. So, the devotees or not, still that love for our parents is there. They're devotees, and I try to obey them, and they engage me in Krishna's service. If they're not devotees, I pray for their deliverance. And this way, the love of the parents is there in both cases. Next. Does that satisfy you? Okay, next.
Recently I saw the video of tsunami where many people swept away within a split second.
Yes.
So how do looking at the video I felt like such a fearful condition.
Yes.
How can I remain Krishna conscious and remember Krishna and chant his name even in this circumstance?
Oh, you were in the tsunami?
No, if such emergency happens with me,
everything is going on under Krishna's sanction for the benefit of all living beings. They got some, because of their previous sins, they got some reaction to their previous sins, actually to help them get over their previous sins. When you suffer a punishment, you're actually being relieved of that karmic debt. One should see the loving hand of Krishna in every situation. But you're wondering if you were in a tsunami, or just how you be Krishna conscious seeing them. It's all the law. It's the law of karma going on. All these things.
If something like this happens in my life,
then it's Krishna's special mercy to help you come take shelter of Him. If here I am giving this lecture. What if a tsunami came through the back wall and killed me instantly? And that's Krishna's special mercy, because right now I'm talking about Krishna. If I were to die right now, Jai. Or if somebody came to assassinate me right now, they shot me, I died here on the stage talking about Krishna, that'd be an auspicious way to die. You have to see the loving hand of Krishna in every situation, because it is there. Krishna is there acting, everything. Prabhupada said, in his final days in Vrindavan, laying there on his deathbed, Prabhupada said, he was on the video, everything is acting and moving under the direction of Krishna. This consciousness is Krishna consciousness. That you have to see. Everything is acting under his direction for the ultimate benefit of every single living being. Next. How long should we go? I have scheduled to do some songs also.
Maybe we'll take this as the last question. And there is more time in the afternoon to ask questions as well. So please park those questions in your mental memory notebook.
Thank you, Gurudev and Gurumata, for the last few days and giving us the best lectures. So I have a question so one of my friends is in Krishna consciousness, and her parents are not in Krishna consciousness, and he was trying a lot to bring them into this path, but what is the best approach for giving Krishna consciousness to their parents?
Well, you have to see what works. Prasadam is always there. Give him a lot of prasadam.
No prasadam and no chanting also.
But it depends on the parents. I mean, it depends. If they're Hindus, it's one thing. If they're Christians, it's another thing. These were Hindu parents?
Hindu parents.
You have to try this and try that and see what works. I mean, prasadam is there. Bring him to the temple. It really depends on the situation. These are all time and place type of situations. You have to try this and try that and see what works. And you also pray to Krishna that you can melt their hearts. You can beg Krishna also, please, my dear Lord, I'm trying to convince my parents to become Krishna conscious, but they're not interested. Please give them special mercy, my Lord. You see, you can pray also. So you try everything and see what works. You have to experiment and see what works. Some people like the prasadam, some people like the darshan, some people like be interested in the philosophy. You have to do everything you can, somehow or other, to engage them. But even if you can convince them by your becoming delivered, they will be delivered automatically. So that's the other thing. One becomes delivered, he delivers his... When one goes back to God, his forefathers are also become delivered for many generations. So one should primarily focus on developing one's own Krishna consciousness, because the more you become awakened, the more you become empowered to awaken others. Okay?
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, so I've been asked to do some of my songs. I was a songwriter before I became a devotee, so I have a natural inclination to make Krishna conscious songs. Why don't you bring my guitar?
Thank you, Krishna, for those deep words of wisdom, for those nectarian Krishna Katha, for those wonderful answers.